The more you talk to scouts, executives, GMs, it seems like 1/3 thinks that Edwards is the best prospect, the other third thinks that Ball is the best prospect, and then the other third thinks it's Wiseman. So it's completely split. There's no Zion Williamson, there's no John Morant in this draft. But the name to keep an eye on, and JWill mentioned it yesterday, is Patrick Williams. I've had so many people ask me about him over the last few weeks. I think he could go as high as 4 to the Chicago Bulls or as low as 7 to the Detroit Pistons. And he's a big, physically gifted wing, 230 pounds, 6'8", 7-foot wingspan. He's the second youngest player in the draft. Reminds you a little bit of like an OG Anunoby with the upside of maybe a Jaylen Brown. So he's the guy who's risen the most. And then Kyra Lewis as well out of Alabama. He's getting some lottery looks. De'Aaron Fox type of speed demon in the open court.
Mike, crazy for Patrick Williams, a guy that can come off the bench averaging 9 points and about 3 rebounds, could be a top 6 pick in the draft, right?
It's kind of circumstantial, honestly. Like, the more you get away from what actually happened in the season, right? That was 7, 8, 9 months ago since scouts have really seen these players. So you don't look as much at the resume. You kind of lose sight of what they did over the course of 28, 30 games, and you start thinking in your head, man, how much could this kid have progressed over the last 8, 9 months? What can he become? And when you look at him through that prism, then you see a guy who could be a big-time wing in the NBA. So it's crazy to see kind of his rise. He's a player we had projected, I believe, in kind of the middle of the first round coming into the season. Didn't have a huge year, didn't even start a game for Florida State, but great program. They've churned out these wings year after year. Jonathan Isaac, they have Devin Vassell as well this year. So, I think he's kind of in that next group to have a major impact.
Mike, take me to the 8th pick in the draft, the New York Knicks. Okay, everybody's talking about they should grab Russell Westbrook. I'm trying to tell them, don't do that. Don't take the shiny object. Hope for it. Like with the 8th pick in the draft, do you see them trying to trade up? Will guys like Obi Toppin, will guys like Tyrese Halliburton, will they even be around by number 8? What do you see the Knicks doing?
I'm sure they've tried to trade up, whether that's all the way up to 4, 5, 6, and try to nab one of those two. I do think that one of them will be there when it's all said and done, whether that's Obi Toppin or Halliburton. I think Halliburton's the best fit. RJ Barrett is a guy who's really at his best with the ball in his hands. He can play pick and roll. He can get downhill. And Halliburton is one of the guards in this draft who can play on the ball or off the ball. He's a ball mover. He doesn't need a bunch of volume to have an impact. Shoots over 40% from 3, high IQ player. And he would be great in the bright lights. Like his personality, he's very, very charismatic. So I love that fit for them if he makes it to 8. If not, I think Obi Toppin, not a bad consolation prize either. He's basically from out there. His dad was a street ball legend in New York. I think his family would love to have him back in Madison Square Garden.
Great stuff. Just a reminder, Tyrese Halliburton at Iowa State and Obi Toppin, if that name sounds familiar. Bard mentioned not having March Madness. He was the National Player of the Year at Dayton. Last thing for Mike Schmitz, our ESPN NBA draft analyst, as we get set for the draft tonight at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN Television. Mike, when the last NBA season started, I know it seems like 10 years ago, but when the 2019-2020 season started, there were 108 players from foreign countries on NBA rosters. The game is global. The best international prospect this year seems to be this guy from Israel named Deni Advia. Tell me about him.
Yeah, so Denny is really exactly what you're looking for in today's game. He's a 6'10" wing who can shift really anywhere from 1 to 4 on both ends of the floor. And I call it kind of like a queen on the chessboard, right? That's the key versatile position that every team is looking for. And he comes to the NBA with over 100 games of experience. He's the youngest MVP in Israeli league history. He played a solid role at the EuroLeague level, the same league that Luka Doncic came out of. He's played against players like Nikola Mirotic, Alex Abrinas. He played with Amari Stoudemire. So he's coming from an NBA environment, a very pressure-packed environment. I mean, he's the most heralded Israeli prospect really in the history of that country. His dad was an ex-Yugoslavia national team player. So he's got that kind of interesting blend of Israeli background and Serbian background. He's a competitor. I think he's a day one starter in the NBA.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.